Welcome to Fractured Chaos.
I remember exactly how the light hit her face that morning. The way the sun poured through our bedroom window, casting shadows across her features as she packed her bags. She didn't look at me. Not once. 23 hours earlier, I'd walked through that same door with an empty cardboard box containing 8 years of my professional life. Downsizing, they called it. What they meant was disposable. But that's not when this story really begins. The message on my phone glowed in the darkness last night. I know what you did, Carter. Everyone will soon. I've received one every night this week. At first I thought it was Rebecca, that somehow she had discovered everything. But no. These messages started coming after she was long gone. The truth? Our relationship was crumbling long before I lost my job at Collins & Wright. The foundation had hairline fractures neither of us wanted to acknowledge. We were architects of our own disaster. 3 months before the layoff, I found the first receipt. A hotel downtown, the Grand View. I wasn't supposed to be home that afternoon, but a migraine sent me back early from work. While searching for medication in her purse, there it was. Room 507, charged to her personal card. Date and time perfectly aligned with her late meeting the previous week. I said nothing. Instead, I started my own investigation. Watching, waiting, building evidence. My father always said, "Knowledge is leverage, son." And I needed every advantage I could get. Rebecca wasn't just having an affair. She was having an affair with Kenneth Porter, my boss. When the layoffs were announced, I wasn't surprised to find my name on the list. What did surprise me was discovering the company had been secretly profitable all along. The financial troubles were fabricated, a convenient excuse to clean house of certain employees. Employees like me who might have become inconvenient. I never confronted Rebecca about Kenneth, not directly. But the night I lost my job, I casually mentioned his name over dinner. The way her fingers tightened around her wine glass told me everything. Tiny spiderweb cracks formed in our facade. "How well do you know Kenneth?" I asked. Her response, a moment too delayed. "Only through the company events." Why? That night, I transferred half our savings to my private account. Not stealing, protecting what was rightfully mine. She was planning her exit. I was simply preparing mine. The day Rebecca left, she didn't just take her clothes. She took our shared memories, photos, the vintage record collection we built together, even the damn coffee maker we bought in Seattle. But she left behind a single photograph. Us on our honeymoon, corners torn, crumpled, and then flattened out again. Written on the back in her handwriting, "We were real once." What she didn't know was that I had already discovered her second phone, the burner, hidden in her yoga bag where she thought I'd never look. I'd found it weeks earlier, but left it exactly as it was. Sometimes the most powerful move is appearing powerless. Here's something nobody tells you about betrayal. It doesn't hit all at once. It seeps in slowly, like water finding every crack in a foundation. After she left, I received an email from an unknown address. Subject line, "Thought you should know." Inside was a video, security footage from our apartment building's garage. The timestamp showed 3:42 a.m., 2 weeks before our separation. It showed Rebecca and Kenneth together, arguing intensely by his car. Then something shocking. Kenneth grabbed her arm roughly, and she recoiled. This wasn't the behavior of lovers. This was something else entirely. I watched that footage 17 times that night. Their body language suggested not romance but fear, not passion but panic. I started following Kenneth. Not every day, just enough to establish patterns. His morning coffee run, his Thursday evening racquetball game, the way he always parked in the same spot at the office despite having no assigned space. Creatures of habit are so predictable. The messages started appearing in unexpected places. A note under my windshield wiper. Ask about Cayman wire transfer, 4472. A text from Rebecca's number that she later claimed she never sent. He knows about Geneva. And most disturbing, a manila envelope at my door containing printouts of offshore account numbers matching deposits made 3 days before each round of company layoffs. I wasn't fired because of my wife's affair. I was fired because I had unknowingly processed paperwork for the shell companies they were using to hide money. My signature was on documents I had been told were routine client agreements. Kenneth needed me gone because I had handled the evidence. And Rebecca? She wasn't leaving because I lost my job. She was running because she had helped create the scheme, then realized Kenneth was setting her up to take the fall when the authorities eventually caught on. I did something dangerous then, something I can't take back. I contacted the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Anonymous tip, detailed information. Enough to start an investigation, not enough to implicate myself. A calculated risk. Meanwhile, Rebecca kept calling, cryptic conversations. Don't trust what you've been shown. Check the dates on everything. They're watching your apartment. Was she trying to warn me or manipulate me? I couldn't tell anymore. The woman I had built a life with had become a stranger wearing a familiar face. 2 nights ago, I broke into Kenneth's vacation house. Not technically breaking in when you still have the security code Rebecca once casually mentioned. The place was immaculate. Too perfect. No personal items. No mail. Nothing to suggest someone actually lived there. Just staging. In the home office, behind a painting of a sailboat, how cliché, a safe. And inside, well, inside was something that changed everything. Documents showing Rebecca had actually been working with federal authorities for months. She wasn't Kenneth's accomplice. She was gathering evidence against him. And my name was listed as a potential witness for prosecution, not a suspect. My world flipped upside down again. The narrative I had constructed crumbled. I wasn't the victim being framed. I was being protected. And now I had potentially compromised an active investigation. Last night, my doorbell rang at 11:37 p.m. Rebecca stood there, thinner than I remembered, dark circles under her eyes. "We need to talk," she said, "but not here." She drove us to an empty construction site, the half-built skeleton of what would eventually become luxury apartments. As we sat in her car, she explained everything. How she discovered Kenneth's scheme 6 months ago, how she approached the FBI, how they asked her to gather evidence from the inside. "I couldn't tell you," she said. "They were watching everyone connected to Kenneth. If you had known, you might have acted differently. They would have noticed." "So the affair," I started. "There was never an affair, Carter. I needed access to his private files. I needed him to trust me." The hotel receipts were from rooms where she met her handler. The late-night calls were to report findings. The burner phone was provided by the investigation team. "But why leave me? Why not tell me after I was laid off?" Her eyes welled up. "Because that's when Kenneth started suspecting me. He had people watching you, watching us. I had to make our separation convincing. I had to hurt you enough that no one would question it. As dawn broke, we formed a plan. I would continue appearing heartbroken and angry. Rebecca would continue her undercover work. We would communicate through a system of dead drops and encrypted messages. I returned home to find my apartment door slightly ajar. Someone had been inside. My computer was on, though I distinctly remembered shutting it down. A single document was open on the screen, my resume. At the bottom, a position I never added. Financial analyst, Cayman Regional Investment Partners, 2019-2020. They were setting me up as the fall guy. I made a decision then, a dangerous one. I called Kenneth directly. "I know everything," I said, "and I want in." Silence on the other end, then, "Meet me at the office tonight, 9 p.m. Rebecca was furious when I told her. "You've blown everything!" she hissed. "Years of work!" "No," I countered. "I've given us the final piece. He'll bring everything we need to that meeting. He'll try to buy my silence." The office was eerily quiet that night. Kenneth sat behind his massive desk, that smug smile on his face. "Carter," he said, "I always knew you were smarter than you let on. Smart enough to keep copies of everything I ever signed," I bluffed. His smile faltered just enough. "What exactly do you want?" $3 million offshore, untraceable." He laughed. "Ambitious, but how do I know you'll stay quiet?" I pulled out my phone, showed him the email drafts addressed to the SEC, FBI, and financial press. "Dead man's switch," I explained. "If anything happens to me, if my accounts don't receive regular confirmation codes, these send automatically." He studied me for a long moment. "You know," he finally said, "Rebecca made the same play 6 months ago, before she agreed to work with me instead." My blood froze. He was lying. He had to be. She's quite the actress, isn't she? Kenneth continued, pulling out his phone. Would you like to hear the original recordings of our meetings, before the FBI was ever involved? The recordings were damning. Rebecca's voice clear as day, proposing the initial scheme. Kenneth cautious at first, then warming to the idea. The two of them planning how to structure the transactions, how to hide the money. She approached the FBI only after she realized I had insulated myself, Kenneth explained. She was trying to save herself by turning state's evidence. And you, poor Carter, were just collateral damage. I felt sick. The room spun around me. So here's my counteroffer, Kenneth said. You help me finish what we started. One final transfer, tomorrow morning. Then we all disappear. Separate ways. I nodded slowly. I'll need details. He handed me a flash drive. Everything you need is here. The accounts, the amounts, the timing. I didn't sleep that night. The flash drive contained enough evidence to bury both Kenneth and Rebecca. I had to decide where my loyalty belonged. With the truth, or with the woman I had loved for 9 years. At 4 a.m. I made 3 copies of everything. One for the FBI, one for my lawyer, and one insurance copy hidden where no one would think to look. As sunrise painted the sky in shades of orange and pink, I sent a text to Rebecca. I know everything. For real this time. Her response came immediately. Whatever he told you is a lie. The recordings, Rebecca, your voice. 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. Finally. Meet me where you proposed. 1 hour. The botanical garden was just opening when I arrived. The bench where I had knelt 4 years earlier sat empty beneath a canopy of wisteria. I settled in to wait. Rebecca appeared precisely on time, wearing the blue dress I had always loved. Those recordings are edited, she said without preamble, pieced together from dozens of meetings where I was gathering evidence. Prove it, I challenged. She pulled out her own flash drive. The originals, with timestamps and metadata the FBI tech team verified. Kenneth is desperate, Carter. The net is closing. Why should I believe you now, after all the lies? Her eyes met mine directly. Because despite everything, I never stopped loving you. Every step away from you was agony. I took both flash drives to a cybersecurity expert I knew from college. Independent verification, no skin in the game. 4 hours later, the truth emerged. Kenneth had indeed spliced recordings, creating fictional conversations from real fragments. Rebecca had been working for the FBI the entire time, but there was something else. Something neither Kenneth nor Rebecca had told me. My own name appeared in documents from 2 years earlier, long before any investigation began. My signature on papers I had no memory of signing. When confronted with this evidence, Rebecca finally broke down. They needed a patsy from the beginning, she admitted. Someone with access, but no real power. They chose you before I even knew what was happening. When I discovered the truth, I went to the FBI not just to stop Kenneth, but to protect you. Yesterday morning, everything came to a head. The FBI arrested Kenneth as he attempted to board a private plane to a non-extradition country. 17 other executives were taken into custody across 3 states. Rebecca was given immunity for her cooperation, and me? Cleared of all potential charges. Last night she came to my apartment one last time. Not to reconcile, too much had broken between us for that, but to return my grandmother's wedding ring that she had taken when she left. I kept it safe, she said. It was the only piece of you I couldn't bear to leave behind. As she turned to go, I asked the question that had haunted me. If there had been no scheme, no investigation, would you still have left after I lost my job? She paused at the door, her hand on the knob. I guess we'll never know. This morning, I woke up alone in my apartment. The silence no longer feels suffocating. The emptiness no longer feels like absence. I found a new job last week, different industry, lower pay, but honest work. The FBI debriefed me yesterday. They're still untangling the web of financial crimes. My testimony will be required eventually. As for Rebecca, I heard she's moved across the country, fresh start. The funny thing about betrayal is that eventually, it loses its sting. The anger fades. What remains is clarity. She left after I lost my job. But that's not where our story ended. It's where the truth finally began. This morning I received one final anonymous message. Check your old winter coat pocket. Inside I found a key to a storage unit I never rented. Inside that unit, a single box containing $10 million in bearer bonds and a note in Rebecca's handwriting. Your share of the truth. Some justice isn't found in courtrooms. I called the FBI immediately, then I burned the note. Some doors once closed should never be reopened. They say when you lose everything, you find out who you really are. I lost my job, I lost my wife, I lost the narrative I had constructed about my life. What I found was something more valuable, the capacity to walk away.